And Manchester City fans around the world, tickets are available now for the Club World Cup on FIFA.com. There is almost 50 days to go until that inaugural first game in this brand new competition. So if you want to get there, tickets are available on FIFA.com. But now it's time to turn our attention to the Premier League and just the small matter of these boys trying to strengthen their grip on a Champions League position. As we know, that got confirmed as well. That will be the top 5 in the Premier League this year. That man there, King Kevin De Bruyne, started his Manchester City career against today's opponents, Crystal Palace, back in September 2015. And my goodness, what a ride and what a journey it has been with him. Does he start in this game against Crystal Palace? Well, Manchester City fans, I can confirm, yes, he does. Here is your starting 11. In goal, the ever-present Ederson. Then as we move to defence, Rico Lewis comes into the fold alongside Ruben Diaz. Ruben Diaz is partnered once again by Gvardiol. Really been enjoying that centre-half partnership over the last couple of games. And this man keeps his position. Nico O'Reilly completes the back four. Moving into midfield, we have, of course, Nico signed in January in the holding role alongside Kovacic, who also plays with Ilkay Gundogan. And there's plenty of midfielders today, because as you know, King Kevin, he starts as well alongside those boys. James McAtee gets a start against Crystal Palace. And there is the man, our Egyptian king, Omar Mamouche, completes our starting 11. So lots to dig into there. Also need to work out how we're going to be lining up. But before we do that, let me introduce our guest today. Good afternoon, City fans. Please let me welcome along into the studio Mr. Paul Dickov, and making his first appearance, Mark Kennedy, of course, playing for Rose Palace and Manchester City. Great to have you on. How are you feeling today, Mark?
Good, thank you for having me. Really looking forward to the game. I think it'll be a great game of football. So
it's interesting. I mean, obviously playing for both teams. What have you made of Crystal Palace so far this season?
I think they've been outstanding. A good brand of football, structurally very good. When you look at defeat, same as City, so I think they're a tough team to beat. But I think in the top line, they're really exciting. And one thing they have got, which I think every coach wants with the team, they've got like electric pace to Bourne, and there's a lot of goals in their forward line. So I think it'll be a tough game for City today, playing against a very good side.
Yeah, it really will indeed. We know Palace have caused us problems in the past, but how important is it obviously having the home crowd and now making sure we get on a bit of a run, Paul? Because as Pepper said, more or less every game a final now to try and secure that Champions League position.
It isn't. Look, it's a strange time in the season because we're used to this team competing on all fronts. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I've always done, whether it's going for the Champions League, FA Cup, going for the league, they take one game at a time. Yeah. And I think that's what's made them stand out of the rest of the last few years, and they'll do that again. It's a massive game today. Yeah. You know, and Crystal Palace will be tough, but I think back here at the Etihad, the team that's out there got experience and a lot of quality in it as well. And I'm not saying we have to win today, but I think the players and Pep know that it's a really important game today to finish in the Champions League places.
Really, really is. Just a quick question as well. John Nellis, has he given you a hug yet there? Have you found him around the stadium?
No, I don't want a hug off him.
FG digging you out there as well,
that's all right. He was giving me a hug outside, telling me how lovely I was, and then he goes on camera and digs me out.
No, it's classic FG, that.
I'll keep it up there. I'll save it for when he's least expected.
That's it, all noted. Let's get into the team then, and it's interesting, isn't it, Mark? We were trying to work out what the formation and lineup is going to be. We've kind of not really got out-and-out wingers. Great to see James McAtee. He went for a diamond almost in a way at Old Trafford. Can you work out what he might be going for today and why he's gone for this personnel?
No, well, I was a little bit surprised. I think it's brilliant for James. I think he's an outstanding talent, and it'd be good to see him. I think it's a huge compliment to him that Pep's put him in, because today is huge, and the bottom line is we're at a point in the season where you're running out of games, so it's not an opportunity to feed people in and have a look at people. So he's ultimately picked him on merit. But he's an outstanding talent. I hope today goes well for him, because you are running out of games to get that feel of team. But there's a lot of midfielders in there, so it will be interesting. Do I know what's going to happen? No, I think we'll all have to wait and see. But one thing you know about Pep, he's a master tactician, so there'll be a lot of thought process behind why he's done it.
There was an interesting comment I read from Pep, Paul, after Old Trafford. Obviously, he was saying players like Jeremy Doku, who had been so great, that they didn't play. Nico didn't play, but he wanted to go with players that knew where they needed to be in his system almost inside and out. Do you think he's almost done that as well with keeping Gundogan, Kovacic and De Bruyne in that midfield role.
Yeah, I do, and I think Cover and Gundo were fantastic last week.
Yeah.
I've been the last couple of games. I just wonder whether he's looking at, because historically we've struggled against teams that play a back three or a back five, and United done that last week, and he went with a diamond with not sort of two centre forwards, but the two forwards playing a little bit wider. Whether that's something that he's thought about, and Palace will play a back three today, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So whether that's tactically he's seen something that can help him out as well. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Kel, we sit here every week and we see Pep's team and we wonder what formation he's going to play, and we're wrong every single time.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be something completely different out there. But going back to James McAtee, delighted that he's getting his chance, because whenever he's been called upon this season, he's been fantastic. He's been patient.
Yeah.
And yet again, another 3 academy products in the team today, which is amazing. Did you have James?
Yeah, I was.
Academy.
I was his coach when I was there, and he was an outstanding talent. He was going through a growth spurt and struggled a lot physically, but his talent was undoubted, and more important for me, what a lovely young man.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, what a real young man, brilliant kid. Real credit to his family, lovely family, mum and dad, and to be fair to the club, Jason Wilcox, when he was here, like they rated him really highly. Like, even because I think at that age, there's so much that can happen and can go wrong, and you need so much luck. But there was a huge amount of importance placed on his talent and what they seen. And I think the people at City deserve a lot of credit for seeing that, identifying it so young and really putting that time and energy into him. But he's here today because of himself.
Yeah, and as we know, I mean, Pep's not just choosing someone just to,
chance.
just to give them a little gimme. No, you have to earn it. And he really has spoke about at times how he's almost been frustrated in himself that he's not been able to play James more. Do you think as well it's important, Mark, for a player like James, and like Jack has mentioned as well, to try and get a run of games? Because I think I loved watching him, seeing him at Sheffield, and I had a few friends there as well, and just talked about the gift of a footballer he is. Not fully had a chance, I think, to express that yet in this City team.
It's the problem you've got is the players you're playing against are just so good to get an opportunity, and you're not so much this season, but normally when you're not in the team's winning every week. And if the team's winning every week, people are performing well. At the area of the pitch where he plays in the final thirds, it's about goals, assists, and key moments in the game. And normally in a team like this, the people in the top line are having success, so it's about biding your time. But what he has done this year, he's been so young, got a hat-trick already in his career, and he's scored goals, he's impacted the game. He's a really bright, intelligent footballer, and actually looking at the team when I see it, I mean, I like Doku, he's quick and he's fast and people like that, but I think he's got a lot of intelligent people in the team today. Yeah.
Another young player as well, Paul, young Nico O'Reilly's keeping his position. We've been singing his praises the last few games. How impressed have you been with him, and what has he brought into the team, particularly when we saw when he came on from the bench, Pep and the players spoke about the energy and the lift he gave the players, which is what's needed at the moment.
It is, and the quality he's got as well. And I take my hat off to him, because he was brought into the first team squad last pre-season and got into the season as an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
Probably as a number 10 or maybe as an 8. Sometimes he can play out wide, but to go in as a left back, and it shows you the football intelligence he's got for somebody so young. But it's not, look, Pep's fullbacks aren't any normal fullbacks. He's got to tuck in into midfield.
Yeah.
The next thing, we're playing a diamond today, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on him bombing forward. And we've seen that he's got real quality, he's got physicality. Everybody talks about, but it's the quality and the football intelligence that he's got for somebody so young.
Will it help him as well? Because I think it was asked to Pep that, obviously he's more in a mid, that's his kind of position that he's come through the academy playing, maybe seen as a box-to-box, and then Pep was like, well, he also needs to be side-to-side. Does getting experiences maybe in other positions, will that help him when maybe he does move into centre midfield further down the line a little bit, Mark?
Yes, to answer your question. I think, look, to play for Pep's team, wherever you play, you've got to be technically excellent.
Yeah. And
I think what'll help him, although it's not his first position, if you like, City dominate the ball. So I'm not saying it'd be 60% possession today, but you're playing in a team where actually, because you dominate the ball so much, you do a lot less defending, etc. But he obviously wouldn't play him where he is if he didn't have those qualities. But I would expect him to be in the team because of his quality on the ball as well. And I think what Pep's done, which is quite bright, next door to him, he's got some really experience beside him, an outstanding player beside him. So
yeah,
but he can more than hold his own. I've seen him a couple of times this year. and he's really caught my eye.
Great physicality as well. And
Profile's brilliant.
Yeah, speaking of those players next to him, it's something that has kind of come out of this injury crisis, as we know, particularly in defence with Kanji out, Stones, Ake. But we've looked, I mean, Gvardiol at left back has been a revelation, particularly going forward. But we know his natural position more centre half. And actually, I've really enjoyed seeing the partnership of Ruben and Gvardiol over the last couple of games.
I think it's shown in the results and the defensive performances as well, with the clean sheets that we've had recently, that having two centre halves been able to play every week, because we've not had that throughout the season. I think there's been something like, Big Andy Morrison told me this, 18 or 19 different defensive partnerships throughout the season.
That's difficult. You don't get a connection, a run. I think any coach will tell you the one thing you want to particularly, you can rotate players, strikers, midfielders, wingers, stuff like that, but your two centre halves need to play together. Two centre halves and your keeper, that little triangle is really big.
And do you think probably that's where, I mean, it's great, we know we get to hear from you guys, but fans probably sometimes we forget that or almost choose to ignore it and think, no, they should be better, but actually you are right, getting a bit of continuity and regularity within that position is so important.
It helps the goalkeeper and it helps the people in front of them as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's a perfect match. Look, Ruben for me is massive. He's a leader. He's a bit different nowadays because first and foremost he wants to defend. You know, everybody wants a centre half to get the ball and come out with it. And what he does do, he makes people around him defend better when he's in the team.
Yes.
And Josko is just a wonderful footballer. You know, we keep saying it, for somebody so young to come in and play left back for the last season and a half.
Yeah.
And how great he's been. But you can see his natural, his best position is at centre half, and he's like a Rolls Royce. You know, he never gets flustered. He's a lot quicker than what he looks. He's fantastic in the ball, and he always chips in a goal as well. Yeah,
and also has been so present in a time when we've seen lots of players coming in and out. He seems to be one that has managed to keep fit and be there every time. Tactically today, Mark, we're going to see what we used to see with City. Obviously, we've gone for a Doku and Savino on each side. So do you think it is going to be a lot more passes within play and moving the opponents around a little bit to try and find a gap maybe in the back five?
Yeah, look, normally when I watch City, I think they horseshoe a lot. They come out wide, a lot of pocket runs from the high tens. I just think today, with so many midfielders there, you've got to play through midfield.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they'll try and overload the central areas and try and dominate the ball and come from there. So I think you might see something slightly different. And again, without repeating myself, I just find with City, they've normally played with outstanding wingers. They get out of wide, pocket runs, crosses in the box. I think they'll probably try and play through midfield and dominate and flood that area a bit more. When I look at the technical excellence in the team today, I think it'll be really good. We were talking before we came on air, like as drab as the game was last week, the derby, I thought tactically it was brilliant because both teams cancelled each other out. I think both managers done a brilliant job, and although it's not brilliant to watch and stuff like that, I thought from a tactical aspect it was a really good game in that regard. So I think with Pep today, the one thing you know is there's always an outstanding game plan behind what he does. But I think he's also up against a really good head coach.
Yeah, he really is indeed. We're going to be looking at the Palace team in just a little bit, but let's head pitch side because your commentary team today, Alistair Mann, is joined by another former City and Palace player in Clive Allen. Here they are now giving us their thoughts of the team news, and they're going to bring us the Palace team as well.
Yeah, thanks. Welcome back to Pitch Side. Alongside me, my co-commentator today, former City striker Clive Allen. Clive, you're most welcome once again to the commentary position, and you've got a 100% record alongside me, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, Newcastle victory, obviously a great result that day, and then a fine performance against Notts Forest. So hopefully I'm on for the hat-trick today.
A challenge today, that is a fact. We'll come to Palace in a couple of moments, but let's start with last week's derby. What did you make? What are your observations?
It was a very tight game. Obviously, it wasn't the most exciting, pretty dull, few chances for both sides. I felt they just cancelled one another out. I think there's been many derbies like that, but it was a case that City, I didn't think, really got going into the form that we know they're capable of.
And a couple of changes today. What do you make of those?
Yeah, really interesting. Obviously, McAtee comes in on the front line. I think that's going to be his first start in the Premier League. I know he's come off the bench and he's done really well from that position. Lewis at right back, I would imagine, and Gonzalez coming into that midfield area. I think midfield is going to be vitally important today. Wharton's in good form. He's a player you have to get on top of very quickly.
Yeah, we'll come to Palace in a minute, but in terms of sort of the dynamism and the energy that Crystal Palace have, is that perhaps one of the reasons that the changes have been made today?
Yeah, I think so. I think Palace have found some consistency. I think they carry a threat. Obviously, there's individuals who are really talented. I like Eze. I think he can make things happen. So I would imagine that Lewis is on that side to prevent him having a good game.
OK, well, let's give you the Crystal Palace lineup. Henderson in goal, Mitchell, Lacroix, Sarr, Lerma, Eze, Munoz, Jean-Philippe Mateta, the striker, Kamada, Wharton and Richards. Now, if you were watching or were aware of the game last week against Brighton, 2 players suspended, one of which Mark Gahey, and that's a big miss for them, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a massive miss. I think he's been so consistent in the heart of that defence. Defensively, they've been very solid, difficult to break down, but without Gahey, you just wonder whether that might unsettle them.
And they play with this system with wing-backs, and their wing-backs are very good, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah, and I think what they do, they get their wing-backs high, they get them into really advanced positions so that they can deliver crosses for Mateta in particular. So, yeah, I think the 2 fullbacks for City are going to have a busy afternoon.
I don't know if you're aware, but Crystal Palace haven't lost an away game in the Premier League since October. There must be something they're doing good away from home, which obviously we'll find out this afternoon.
Yeah, that's why it's such a big test. And obviously with a FA Cup semi-final coming, everybody's alive at the club. Always a great believer in good cup runs. Obviously keeps everybody involved at the club, and certainly there's a lot of excitement about Palace at the moment.
Of course, we always ask the final question, which is, what's your gut feeling? What are you feeling about what will happen today?
Well, I just feel that it's a must-win game for City. They obviously striving to get back into the top 4, the automatic Champions League places. So I think that City will have to work hard for it, but I see them winning by the odd goal.
Well, Clive's got a 100% record in the co-commentary seat. Can he maintain that record? Let's hope so. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Ali. Thank you, Clive. Some beautiful pictures there of course, our home, the Etihad Stadium. You can see the new stand there as well, where the 2 yellow scaffolding is. Very much looking good and coming into play. Hopefully that'll all be ready for next season. In the studio, Paul Dickov and Mark Kennedy. Mark, we were just discussing off camera. Really don't think we can understate just how good Crystal Palace have been, and the record there that Clive and Ali mentioned, it speaks for itself. So impressive this season.
Yeah, especially when you look at their unbeaten away from home since October. That's phenomenal. I mean, playing away from home in the Premier League is so hard.
Yeah.
So daunting, it's untrue. So to be unbeaten for that long, I mean, as I said, I think both teams have lost 9 this year, but they've got a real formidable front 9, real pace. I mean, I think Mateta's 1 and 3, Eze's 1 and 4. They've got a lot of goals in the top end of the pitch. Mm-hmm. They've found, you know, it's not so long ago, I felt the manager was under a little bit of pressure. There was a little bit of talk about potential changes, but he seems to have really put a stamp on the team. Attractive brand of football. So, although Palace don't blow you away in name, I think they're a very good Premier League side.
They really are. And what are some of the ingredients, Paul, that have been key to Palace putting in that run of games and then becoming such a threat and such a force this back half of the season?
I just think that defensively, not just the back 3, back 5, as a team, they're really solid.
Yeah.
And Mark's touching it, and he's right, that the front 3 can be electric at times as well. And it's a great recipe to have. You know, if you can be defensively solid, and you know you've got your Ezes and your Matetas that can go and create something out of nothing at any moment, you're always going to have a chance of winning games, especially away from home.
Yes.
Because, you know, down at Palace, the emphasis is on them a lot with the crowd to go and attack teams. But when they come away from home, I think it really suits them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're really comfortable sitting in. They don't panic at all. And then Adam Wharton in midfield, they've got one of the best young midfielders, not just in England and Europe.
Yes.
I love watching him. I think he makes them tick. He's got a bit of everything about him. And, you know, when teams can't break them down, they look for him first.
Yes.
And he's the one that's got the ability and the vision to put your Ezes, your Matetas, your Sars through in and go.
Yeah, and how key is he going to be even more so, given that obviously last weekend we saw, you know, Gay sent off, which means he's missing today. So obviously kind of even more important for young Adam Wharton, but a big miss as well for Palace today, Mark.
Yeah, he's huge, but you know, when I look at the rest with the goalie and the rest of the back 5, I think they've played a lot. They've had a lot of minutes together and a lot of appearances together. I think he will be a loss because he's such a powerhouse. But I don't see it being. If I was a head coach, I wouldn't be sleepless tonight. It's one player off the back of what's been a brilliant structure. I just think how they play, the way they'll play, they'll set up without the ball. It'll probably be a mid block, but where their strength is the counter attacking and the pace up top. And without repeating myself, I'm not a defender, but one thing you don't want to play against when you're a defender is pace.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. If I could give any player anything, whether it's football intelligence, technical ability, game understanding, pace. Everybody wants pace,
yeah.
and they've got that. I'm really looking forward. I hope City win today, and it's so important to get 3 points. But I really hope Palace turn up and give us a good spectacle.
Yeah, I mean, one player as well that's going to be key to that is, we've mentioned him already, Eze. That's a big test for our defence, who, as we know as well, they've got some goals here. He's scoring against City. He does enjoy putting the ball in the back of the net here. But it's a big test for this defence. Given as well, Paul, we know we've been fragile, particularly to that counter this season.
We have, and he's a wonderful player. No disrespect to Palace, I can't see him being there for very long. I think his talent's up there with the very best. He can create stuff out of nothing, he can score goals, and he's a big influence. He's the one when they are defending deep and maybe struggling to get out. He's the go-to that they look for to get. He gets teams up the pitch, Mark, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He creates things. He scares the lives out of
you fear
defenders.
at the pace. You know,
Yes.
it's a worry.
You have to see that's in the back of your head every time, isn't it?
Yeah, well, like as a defender, whatever's happening in the final third, don't worry about that. You need to focus on your area, be an expert in your field, in your third of the pitch, if that makes sense. But he's certainly somebody. If you were to pick out whoever you're playing week in, week out in the Premier League, I think he's somebody that you wouldn't want to play against.
Yes.
Whoever the team is, whatever the name is, I think if you were to name 5 or 6 players in the top line of the pitch that you wouldn't want to play, I think this season he'd be one of them.
Yeah, big test for our young fullbacks today. On the other side of the pitch, obviously, assuming it might be that back five, Marmoush, then I'm guessing is going to be. Do you think maybe them runs in behind that we know he likes to do is going to be a way to maybe try and break down a very resolute Crystal Palace defence away from home?
It is, and it'll be interesting. I would imagine it'll be James and Marmoush that are maybe up there to play in between the wing backs and the centre halves to try and cause them a problem and get Kevin roaming in the middle in front of them. But the one thing about Marmoush I love about him, look, he's fantastic. He loves getting a shot. He's so positive, but he wants to run in behind. And his movement's fantastic. And I don't care if it's a mid block or a deep block. As a defender, the last thing you want is a forward who's going to take you that way.
Yes.
And he's comfortable coming with the ball to his feet. His movement's great, so it'll be interesting because I would imagine Omar will be the one that will go more often than not, and James will try to come into the little pockets for his technical ability, because that's where James McAtee's
Yeah, the one thing James probably lacks is pace. He's not a quick player, so stretching and running in behind and playing on the shoulders not his game. It's getting into pockets and stuff like that. Where from a Marmoush, what may be difficult today is he's got good pace and he's good at stretching the game, but there'll probably be a lack of space in behind with City dominating the ball and the way Palace are a counter-attacking team. I think tactically it's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, there's a big emphasis on Nico and Rico in the full-back areas.
Yeah.
You know, we're used to see them come and getting tucked in, but it's going to be so overloaded in there already. The only width that City are going to have today is going to come for the 2 young full-backs.
Yes.
So there's going to be a big emphasis in them, one, stretching the play width-wise and getting up the pitch, but obviously making sure defensively that they need to tuck back in again, because we keep saying it, they are a danger in the
That's a lot. I guess as well, and also then that's where hopefully Nico as well, obviously with coverage is going to be key to maybe snuffing out that ball before it's played, because that's another way to stop it.
And going forward, similar to what he done at Bournemouth.
Yes.
He's going to have to do that. I know he came on at half-time and it was excellent when he came on and created the goals, but we're going to have to see a lot more of that today. Otherwise, the game's going to be so congested in the middle of the park that City aren't going to be able to play that they want to play. So it's important that Rico and Nico keep saying they're going to have to keep their width today.
Absolutely, there's a chant in there somewhere, I think. Paul. Just before we go, we're going to hear from Ali McCoist in just a second. I always think it's important to point out, and a club that I enjoy not only watching but seeing how they're run. And I think I have to say, Crystal Palace are up there. If you think of the recruitment, if you think of the style of play that they now go with, when you go to Selhurst Park, it's never an easy game. You look at, they lost Elise last year, but then have still kind of kept going. Mateta, they seem to be one of those almost like a Brighton that really well run, and you see when you get consistency and everyone singing off the same hymn sheet, this is kind of what you get. Yeah,
I was thinking of this driving here today actually. Palace is a great club, but they're not a top 6 club, but they're just a really well-established Premier League club in my opinion. An outstanding chairman. And I'd be interested to see what happens over the next couple of years, because they're going to lose Dougie now, who's the director of football and has done a phenomenal job there. And I think it's obviously come out public knowledge that Dougie's going to move on to pastures new. I imagine something really big and promising. So it'll be really interesting to see who they've replaced there and what it looks like, because they've been very, very good at recruiting players and buying players that we don't really know, but have gone on to excel at the club and then move on again. So they've obviously got an outstanding recruitment model there, as everybody talks about. Brighton and Brentford are obviously very statistically driven and stuff like that, but they've obviously got an outstanding recruitment model there. But I think it's the people behind it that it's a brilliant club.
Yeah, really, really is. And if you ever get a chance to go to Selhurst Park as well, it's a cracking ground. Although if you're a little bit higher up, you have to. It's a little bit like through a letterbox at times. Let's pause here in the studio. We can now get the thoughts of, and I love it when we get him on the show, Ali McCoyster's pitch side. Let's see what he's making of today's game.
Yeah, welcome to Pitchside, and welcome to the latest in my series of interviews where Ali meets Ali. No, I'm only kidding. But there aren't many people who not only are called Ali, but also has got the same spelling as my Alistair, which is fantastic.
And I was always aware of that.
Always aware of that. And also I've got family in Giffnock, and you play for Giffnock Boys. It's unbelievable, the connection.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's just brothers.
Absolutely. We could do this interview telepathically, but I'm going to ask you questions in the traditional way. First question has to be, on a day like this, a perfect day for football, are you excited? Do you get excited by games like this?
Yes. Well, this is a game. This is a proper game, because obviously with the European places, the Champions League places, I've been fortunate enough to see Palace a couple of times in the last month, and they're playing really well. Really good side. I thought the performance at Fulham in the Cup was the pick of the performances in the quarter-finals. Excellent, great form. Glasnow's got them playing, the confidence, they're organised. I thought they were really, really difficult to break down that day, to get into their shape well. And obviously City, not having the season we thought they would have, but clearly a big season, still got a cup final to play for. And indeed, Champions League. If somebody said at the start of the season that this game, would be affecting Champions League places, I think it might have surprised a few of us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned Palace and how good they were at Fulham. They've not lost an away game in the Premier League since October. What was it about their Fulham away performance that you saw?
Do you know what it was? I'll tell you right now, particularly up front, Eze scored an absolutely wonderful goal. I mean, it really was. Dropped his shoulder, one of those bendy ones into the far corner. They just looked really comfortable. I'll tell you what they did look. They looked as comfortable without the ball as any team I've seen this season. And by that I mean they just get back into a shape. They were very, very difficult to break down. Fulham didn't create an awful lot, and you could tell them getting a little bit frustrated, and then Palace would kind of hit them in counter-attacks and eventually get the third goal late on. I was just really organised with really impressed, if you like, with their shape more than anything.
I mean, there's a lot of teams this season that have impressed a lot of people. I mean, you mentioned Fulham being one of them. Crystal Palace is another. What are they doing right? I mean, you mentioned their excellent work out of possession. What else have City fans got to worry about?
Centre forward as well. Obviously, they're creating chances. Centre forward, as we know, got a very, very sore one in the cup game. I think Millwall wasn't the goalkeeper. And he played the Fulham game with one of these masks. But that said, I think he's a real threat. And what they do, they mix it up a little bit. They've got lads in the middle of the park that can play and are comfortable on the ball, keep possession of the football, but because they've got a bigger lad up front as well, they can go direct. So I think one of their secrets as well is they can mix it up a little bit. They're very much not one-dimensional.
So how does City break them down?
Well, City can break any teams down the way they play. My only concern sometimes recently about City is I think they're a bit loath to put a ball into the box without the big fella up front. Clearly, that's a little bit of a problem. We've got no Haaland, who, as we know, is the best in the business, hovering about the 6-yard box. So I just think sometimes they're a little bit loath to maybe get wide and just put a cross into the box. I think they should be doing that a little bit more. But in terms of possession of the football, they'll be tidy on it, and City can break down any defence for sure.
Of course, this week we discovered that it's not just top 4, it's top 5 that automatically go into the Champions League. Do you imagine City will get one of those 5 places?
I do. Which is probably the right thing to say.
You don't have to say
I know, I don't. Alistair, I'm aware of that. However, I do think they will. I think it might be the 5th place,
Right.
I really do. Forest have been, well, they've been remarkable, haven't they? I mean, absolutely remarkable. I was at the City ground when they get the 1-0 victory against both Manchester teams, actually, United and City. And I could see them. Everton's form's picked up. I know that. Davy's done a brilliant job. I think they've lost 1 in 9 or something like that. But I could see Forest picking up another 3 points at home. So I think the top 3 might look after themselves. And Chelsea will be hovering about. But I've got a wee sneaky for Newcastle and Manchester City. So there you have it.
You think Chelsea are going to be outside then?
Yeah, and that's coming from a man who has a little bit of affection for Chelsea, so I'm not taking any great delight in saying that.
My final question has to be, how do you see this going? What is your ultimate prediction from this?
Do you know something? I think City will get the 3 points.
Okay.
I can see it being a 1-goal game.
If this was Crystal Palace TV, do you see it a different way?
No. Certainly not here. If it was Crystal Palace TV down at Selhurst Park, no, not at all. I think it could be a 1-0 or a 2-1.
Brilliant. Ali, absolute pleasure as
see
always. Ali McCoist, genuine legend and one of the best co-commentators I've ever worked with, and I say that with the greatest respect to Clive Allen, who I'm with today, who's an equal best with him. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Ali McCoist, as well. Right, let's get into this then, gentlemen. Picking up there where Alistair Mann and Ali McCoist were talking about this top 5 running, because, of course, it was confirmed this week that it is going to be the top 5 places in the Premier League that will get Champions League football next year. Paul, we're going to look at the fixture runnings in a moment, but it's so tight. How can you see this one playing out? It's tough to call.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes on
Look,
this.
it's so tight. Now, you look at that, Chelsea 53, then you go down to, Fulham 48, then 51, 52, 53, 53, 4 teams, 1 game can flip it all round again.
Yeah.
But it's going to be so difficult, Ali McCoy's there saying about Forest have been absolutely unbelievable
for sure
what they've done, and to keep hanging on in there reminds me a little bit of when Leicester won the league a few years ago, and everybody was saying, they're going to fall, they're not going to do it. They'll get to Easter and they'll break down, they'll get to Christmas, but they just keep going on and winning games. Chelsea and Newcastle, but I look at it there and I just think the experience this squad has got in it to get themselves over the line, whether it's winning things, whether it's Champions League, whether it's getting to an FA Cup final, the experience that's in the team, they've all been there, seen it and done it. Van Villa have done it recently. Fulham maybe not got the experience. Newcastle did a couple of years ago. Chelsea, a younger team, but I think the experience and the quality within the squad, with players still to come back in again, we'll see us through, and I think we'll finish top 4, top 5 comfortably.
Thank you, Paul. I needed that, to be honest with you. It is, I guess, a credit and testament to particularly these middle teams now, and you can't even say middle teams because it does just feel they've all gone up almost a level or two in their quality, and you can see, case in point now how tight it is. I mean, Aston Villa doing brilliant in the Champions League, but really finding a great bit of form to make their push. Newcastle game in hand as well. It is so difficult to call, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think it's impossible, and as a fan, you'll look at your team and you'll pick your team, but I certainly wouldn't be. I don't have any money, so I'll say £1. I wouldn't like to put £1 on anything, so I just think it's too difficult. I think it's from 7th up. I think Fulham, the gap's too big, and the teams will pick up points. I think it's a really difficult one to call. Newcastle obviously have a game in hand. I mean, I watched Newcastle here. I was so disappointed in them because I was really looking forward to them, and then they've gone on and beat Liverpool in the cup final. But Villa obviously having an outstanding season. Forest, you don't get to where you are at this point with 7 games left, you're not going to fall away.
No.
I think it's incredibly difficult, and I think today's a tough game, but I think the games City have got coming up are really, really tough as well.
Yep.
I am a City fan, and I really, really hope they get into the Champions League, and I think they've got as good as opportunity as anybody. What worries me about City is their season's been so fractured.
Yes.
And when you expect them to get going and they have a win, then something negative seems to come up, and I think Villa are coming on really strong. Chelsea just don't seem to go away.
Nah.
And I think their manager's getting a lot of harsh criticism this year. I really think it's up for grabs. I really, really do.
Yeah.
I think the next 3 games for City today's tough. I think they've got some tough games coming up.
I think it's going to change from week to week and game to game.
Yeah.
If City won today, we were up to 4th place couple of points behind Forest. And all of a sudden you're 2 points off the top three, not sitting in 6th place. So I think as the end of the season goes on, I think game by game, you're going to see that 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, maybe 8th place changing around quite a bit.
Absolutely.
I think they're all very good sides.
Yes, they are.
They're all very good sides, and you made a really good point. There's some teams in there that you don't associate with being like it used to be a top 4 or a top 6. There's a couple of unfamiliar names, but I think the top 7 for me.
Yes.
I think they're all really, really good teams.
I do think it's probably the best it's kind of been. We can look at fixtures as well, because, I mean, as you said, there's no easy fixtures now. So these are the run-ins. I mean, the one that I jumped to straight away was, I mean, Chelsea's last 4 games, Liverpool, Newcastle, I mean, United, obviously we know where they are, but still United, Forest, difficult there. I mean, obviously they've got Ipswich and Fulham as well. Villa, they've got to kind of. We've still got to go to Villa, which will be interesting. They've got to come here. Sorry, that's the 22nd. That's been moved to the FA Cup.
And even Newcastle's last 3 games, they're really, really tough.
So even you say off that, Paul, looking at you can't. It is going to be what you said. I think a lot of chopping and changing, but you'd maybe like to think if we can get a bit of a run like City can, maybe in that Villa's hard, but Everton, Wolves, Southampton. Hopefully can maybe do what we see City do.
And I hate when people say on paper it's the easiest, but I think if you're looking at the run in there, out of all 5 teams that are up there, City have probably got the better run in, maybe not the easiest. Look at Newcastle though. I know United can be up and down, but then as you said there, Kel, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton won't be easy. And then you look at Chelsea and Forest, they two could go down to the last game, playing each other. So I think between now and the end of this, I don't think we're going to get 3 games to go and it still be sorted out. I think it's going to go right down to the wire.
Is that where, and Mark, for the players, you can't get caught. I know this is an obvious question, but you can't be thinking ahead. All right, well, if we don't win this one, we can try and pick up 3 points. Say it is just a case of game by game now and just focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah, I really, really think so. I've worked with coaches that worked in blocks of 5s.
Yes.
I never got my head round that, and I couldn't buy into it as a player. Like the biggest game's the next one, and when I look at the fixtures there, you'll go, if you were to sit down, we'd all sit down and go, well, there's 3 points there. That's a tough game, might be a point. Not sure about that. And actually, you might end up at the same amount of points through a completely different avenue. I think it's so important, particularly at this stage of the season now. Look, just focus on the next game. You can't look beyond that. And I certainly don't think any head coach out there does that.
No.
I never understood that.
No,
5 games.
It's the game that's coming up ahead of you at the time as well. Funnily enough, looking at the run-in that's there, I think today is going to be our toughest game.
Yes, yeah.
Not only because it's the next game,
yes,
but I think because the form Palace are in, their away form that they're in, how they play, I think that could be our most difficult. So if we can get through today, it's going to put us in a great position.
Well, fingers crossed we will. We're going to be speaking more about that as well, but for now we just want to take a moment to talk about, obviously it was with a very heavy heart and sad news that we heard King Kevin's reign at the Etihad Stadium will be coming to an end at the end of this season. The first time we saw him wear a City shirt and grace the pitch was against Crystal Palace all those years ago, and FG and Georgia, after the game at Old Trafford, caught up with some City fans to see what they all made of his career at City and what he means to them.
KDB announced sadly that he will be leaving the club over the next few months. So just want to have a bit of a reflection. First of all, how did you take that news? What were your thoughts?
Proper gutting, like as anything would be, especially him. He's probably up there one of my favourites, along with David Silva. But I kind of knew his time had come, but it still hurts nevertheless, because it's sad to see a legend go.
I'm going to be honest, I've got screenshots of it as well. I wept. I wept. I was terribly sad. I mean, that man has given more to me and my dad, who's been following City for years through all the rubbish times and everything. So I knew it was going to happen. I've got goosebumps even talking about it, but he'll forever be in my heart, and he'll forever be in City fans' hearts, and I wish him all the best.
Not sad that it's ending, just smiling that it happened, really. Just one of the greatest players that we'll ever see. And we look back now, and 20 to 30-year-olds in England playing football, there's nobody else like him, so I don't actually think we'll ever see anybody like him again. He's been that good.
I was gutted, to be honest, mate. Like, how many memories has that man created for us? Like, he's been a hero, hasn't he? I always say David Silva's the best ever player for City, but I'll always say Kevin De Bruyne. It's hard to decide between them two, but gutted. I know it's got to happen one day, but it never makes it easier, does it? Like,
If you can, and it might be quite difficult, have you got a favourite Kevin De Bruyne moment?
Probably when we won the treble, when he scored away at Real Madrid, because I think it was so important that we'd come away with a draw in that, or even a win. But a draw was probably one of the best results to get out of it, because it's very difficult to win away there. And I think taking it back, winning 4-0, but that goal he scored, proper belt of that.
oh, there's too many to mention, mate. Too many to mention. In bending down, tying his laces when we're losing 2-0 against Villa. Probably that's when you know we're in business, when he's tying his laces.
I think it was tying his boots in the Aston Villa game when we were 2-0 down, and it was like, right lads, if it's got to be, it's down to me, follow me, and we'll get this title won. And it was almost like a surge of energy, it was like a reset, and then him and the team, followed through and won the Premier League. It was amazing.
Probably when he whipped the ball in to Gundo, that 3-2, when we won the league on the last day. Or maybe Madrid away, semi-final, that bullet. Or Newcastle when he sacked Moscow. There's too many.
So many. Finally, final question. A statue for Kevin De Bruyne, yes or no?
A statue, mate. Oh my God. A stand named after him. A stadium named after him. More. Kevin De Bruyne City, it should be called, mate.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll keep building the more successful we are. But 10 years service, been amazing. And I think what is appreciated as well, if other football clubs and their supporters don't like us or envy of us, I think deep down they all love Kevin De Bruyne, and that's admiration of a true class act.
Oh, it's getting me a little bit emotional actually there. And I tell you what, I'm going to be doing this now to the end of the season. It was the same when David announced that he was leaving. We're going to be doing this on every show, just tinging and talking about all the great memories from our king Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, we can't really, I think, put into words just like the impact he's had at this club, but just how incredible of a footballer he's been, and the memories that he's given City fans, Mark.
Oh, he's generational, and he's one of the all-time greats in the Premier League, not just at City. You look at his roll of honour, like 6 Premier Leagues, 2 FA Cups, he's at 5 League Cups, Champions League, it just goes on. And then when you look at his individual accolades he's had as a player, not just here but in Germany, young Bundesliga player of the year. So he is a generational talent, and Dickie said it earlier, not just an intelligent master tactician, but a real leader and an unbelievable example.
Yes,
because you're always trying to educate the next generation that come through the door and that. And I think for any kid growing up watching somebody like him, I think he's a great example as a footballer, but also to parents of how they behave and role models. He'll be sorely missed. Outstanding, and he just does so many boxes he ticks.
Yeah, I mean it's his all-round game playing. For me, Paul, and I think this is something I'm going to keep coming back to. When particularly my granddad and stuff would always talk about Colin Bell, and I feel now for us that when I have maybe kids in 10, 15 years, I'll be going, wow, we should have seen Kevin De Bruyne, because as you said that. He has everything, and the way he can execute everything as well in high-pressure games, big games.
Kelly's, I keep saying it, and it's people's opinions. My opinion is he's the best player I've seen.
Yeah.
Not just at Man City. We're lucky enough to see him live here at the Etihad, and a lot of the big games as well, where he always turns up. His desire to win things. We can talk about his unbelievable assists. We can talk about the goals that he scores from outside the box, about his ability. But his will to win and his mentality as well is up there with the very best. And we spoke briefly, it's slightly different about Ruben Diaz making defenders better. When Kevin's on the pitch, even if he's performed well or not, he makes everybody in that team better. And that goes back to your Agueros and your David Silvas. They all lift their game because they know how good he is.
Yeah.
And it's going to be sad when he does leave, but. Just hope from the end of the season that he ends up leaving on a high, because, as I said, he's the best player I've ever seen at this football club and in the Premier League.
I'll echo those words as well. And Mark, I wanted to ask you, because it was something that Mikel Arteta spoke about, saying that he's never seen, and don't think we'll see a player that can execute certain things on a football pitch when going at full tilt. And you'll know in particular, maybe on, if you're playing down the wings, and to nail a ball when you've done a full sprint speed. Technically, how difficult is that? Not only to do it, but then to execute it to perfection. Because you see it when he's in his stride, he doesn't slow down, doesn't have to stop. He can just do it in one motion.
Yeah, it's very difficult to do the things he does, particularly on the run, but he just makes it look effortless and seamless and fluid. I think he's done it so often, so many times, with longevity. He actually makes it look normal, but it's not. And until you play with somebody like that, or you speak to people who plays with him, it's almost impossible to appreciate what he does is so difficult that he makes so easy. Like watching Steph Curry hit 3-pointers at ease. It's so tough to do, but I think he just makes it look so effortless and seamless. He's just phenomenal. And I'm glad that there's lots of people out there, I won't name them because I don't know, there's lots of people out there that were outstanding talents that have had great careers, but they don't have the silverware to back it up.
Yes.
He's got that. When you look at his career, it's actually phenomenal to think what he's achieved.
Yeah.
He will be missed, but, you know, time goes on, there'll be a next one. It was just interesting watching a while ago, we were watching the goals and you forget about Fernandinho and Aguero and Raheem Sterling and the, you know, Silva and people like that, but there'll be somebody else come through. But I do think with Kevin, when we talk about all-time greats in midfielders, you talk about your Keanes and your Scholes and people, your Vieiras and people like that. I think in time it's actually in 5 or 6 years where people go, wow, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know, a bit like that born with actors. It's 4 or 6 years later we go, he was amazing.
He was the one, yeah.
And I think we'll see that with Kevin.
Absolutely, and I think that's why we'll get his statue outside the stadium as well. Come on. Right, let's play a little Kevin De Bruyne inspired game then. It's the Kevin De Bruyne tenable. So we are going to be asking you two to work out which players have had the most in goal involvements with Kevin De Bruyne. So whether De Bruyne's assisted them or they've assisted De Bruyne. We need you to tell us the top 10. Of course, all played for City. Number one will be the player that he had the most goal involvements with. Okay. So do you want to start throwing some names out there, Paul? Do you want to give us one to begin with, maybe?
I'd start with the current squad. Erling.
Let's see. I think Erling Haaland is definitely on there.
Which is mad when you think it's only his third
It's
season.
only,
Isn't it?
That's so true.
Yeah.
He's only just been here. That is frightening. And then also makes me go, I wish we had a couple more together. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so Haaland, third most goal involvements with Kevin De Bruyne. Look, give a name, Mark.
I wanted to go first because Dickie's seen a lot more of City than I have, so I thought I'm
It's a team game. You're working together.
And I didn't do any cheating when I've seen this. I've not gone and I should have actually gone and checked all the stuff. But I would have to go with Aguero.
Okay, of course. Let's see. There we go. In at number 4 behind. So the Haaland and Aguero 3 and 4. Few other names. Go on, Paul.
Back to you, Kel.
I would, but I've got them to see.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm going Phil
Foden. Let's see. There we go. Lovely fight. Okay, we like in the middle of the board here, gents. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Sterling.
Lovely. It's a great. It's a
Must
lovely
be up there,
answer
actually.
There we go. There we go. Second. Second most goal involvement. There's one more. Obviously, the one player he's had the most of, which is a bit of a curveball, but no longer at City. Who is at number 1, but was playing in and around that time of Sterling and Aguero.
I've got one in my head.
Jesus.
Let's have a look. There we go.
You've topped something.
There we go. Interesting that, isn't it? That the most goal involvements was with Gabriel. I always remember as well, Kevin gave the assist for when we secured 100 points.
Southampton away.
It was his ball over the top, wasn't it? Great finish as well from Jesus. Okay, working towards, obviously get a little bit tricky now. But a lot of them are the big attacking players. Another one who's no longer at the club, but was here around the Sterling time and Jesus.
Yeah, I had David Silva in my head. That's who I was going to say.
Let's have a little.
Together with each other.
Straight in, there you go, nice. There we go, 9 most goal involvements with David.
Bernardo. I'm just trying to think of the current squad.
Let's have a little look. There we go. Here we go.
Smashing this, mate.
You've got one more. There's one more out of them 3 that is still here at City's playing today as well, actually.
Gundo.
Nice, Paul. Yeah. There we go. Right, 2 more. It's a little bit trickier.
Mahrez?
Let's have a little look. Tell you what, get these on. Warwick Davis would be proud. Last one.
Producer's got to give us something a bit more difficult next time, isn't he? Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you're on the go for.
I'm going to go There's 2 or 3 with Kev, unbelievable balls to him that sticks in my head. Leroy. Hey, mate.
Not one wrong guess, gentlemen.
I think Dickie got 8 of them, though.
No, it's about 3 or 4 there. Well, there we go. The tenable champions. I think that'll be hard to beat. Not one wrong guess. Unbelievable. Really enjoyed that. Cheers, guys. See you. Go get yourself a pint. Thank you very much. Right, let's take a little pause here because now we can go back to Alistair Mann. He's with Kevin Cummins. Now, we go to him on the show. He's an author. He's got a new book coming out which is all centred around Oasis with some never-seen-before pictures.
Yeah, welcome back, and I'm joined by photography royalty, and I'm sure if you've ever seen any City coverage over the years, you'll have definitely seen this gentleman, Kevin Cummins. You're more than welcome to City TV today. First things first, I mean, just what a day this is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not what we're used to, is it? I remember a few seasons ago it rained every single Saturday, so this is quite nice today. Bit early, but, you know.
Well, you've got a book out at the moment. In fact, it's only 10 days it's been out, capturing some amazing moments with Oasis. Tell us a bit about it.
Well, it's a book about their first year, really, from kind of the start when they we went to Amsterdam to photograph them, and they got arrested on the ferry on the way over, so they weren't there when I got there. And that kind of set the tone for the year, really. A few dates on tour. And then I did all the photos of them in the Man City Brother kits, which was supposed to be an NME cover. My editor at the time was a Southampton fan, and he said, I don't want their paper to be associated with losers. It's worked out well for him this season, hasn't it? And so we ended up putting quite a cool picture of Liam on the cover, but then those photos were just used all over the world of the lads in the City shirts. And when we went to America and to Japan, people were saying, why do they have brother on the shirts? Are they a brotherhood? What does it mean? Even in Japan they didn't know they were a Japanese electronics company. So I think they had more publicity here than they did anywhere else. But those photos became the pictures, I think, that helped to define them, but also propelled them onto the next level. And there's photos that still get used. When the tour was announced, most of the papers were still using those pictures, which is kind of a testimony to the strength of the shots, really.
Absolutely. I mean, just going back to the contents of the book, the vast majority of this is new stuff we haven't seen before.
There's a lot of it, yeah, because normally when you do a feature for a music paper, you'll use 2 or 3 pictures and then the rest just get filed. And this gave me the opportunity to open up files, look through everything. And also at the time I was photographing them for the record company, so they would get used to being photographed, but also so they would so we could look at different ways of shooting them, what lighting worked, what kind of indoor outdoor stuff worked, what kind of image we wanted to give them. And that was really important. And I said to Noel a few months ago, did you know that's what we were doing? And he said, no, I hadn't got a clue, they never sold us. But we wanted, in the end, they wanted a kind of cool post-60s look, and I think it worked. But the Man City kit shots are always the ones that still get used. So I've put pretty much an unedited selection in there with the contact sheets and everything.
So as well as fans of Oasis, sounds like it's a must for City fans as well.
Well, look at the colour of it.
Yeah.
You know,
not a coincidence.
We matched the spine with the colour of the shirt this season as well.
And you still go to games with Noel, don't you, on a regular basis?
Yeah, occasionally, yeah. We go away games generally, I see him. Sometimes see him up here. But he kind of likes going in with the fans if he can. And people don't really bother him. The last game we were at was Bournemouth in the Cup. And, you know, I think he appreciates the fact that he doesn't get too bothered by people, and they appreciate him standing in the middle of them rather than just going in a box, which is the easy option. Absolutely. I'd rather go in a box. No, I wouldn't.
Just a quick thought. Obviously, there's a big year coming up for Oasis. Are you going to be following them around again?
No, I don't think I could survive it. I've followed them around quite a bit, and 2 days on the road with them back then was difficult enough. Although I think they've calmed down a bit. I'm not sure Liam's calmed down, but they'll have calmed down a bit. It won't be the mayhem it was on those early tours, definitely.
Well, listen, we're going to end by showing the book because this is going to be a prize. We're going to get Kevin to sign it in a moment. And the truth is that it's only been out a short while, but it's already making a few headlines. So this is the prize that's on offer today. And to enter our competition, what we want you to do is answer this question, which is basically how many shows will Oasis be performing in the UK and Ireland this summer? So how many shows will Oasis be performing in the UK and Ireland this summer? All you have to do is put your answer in a comment on YouTube, get your entry in there, and you'll have a signed copy of this book, which is, by the look of it, a must for City fans and Oasis fans. But for the moment, from myself, from Kevin, here's to enjoy the game, of course. Back to the studio.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you very much to Kevin Cummins there with Alistair Mann, and you heard from him there as well. All you need to do is tell us how many gigs they are playing this summer. Leave a comment on YouTube and you could be getting one of those signed books with some never seen before pictures from Oasis. There he is signing the book. And now, Mark, as is tradition here on Matchday Live, whenever we have somebody making their first appearance, we love to do a little reflection on their career. Now, before we obviously get to your time at City, began your career over at Millwall. Fond memories from there, and there was a goal in an FA Cup against Arsenal. Do you feel that was one of those moments that helps, announce you a little bit and get you out there, so to speak?
Yeah, look, very, very proud of that moment. We look, to be fair, I think I scored in the 94th minute. The game was over. But I get people tend to go, do you remember that goal? And I left Millwall shortly after. So Millwall is a brilliant club, gets a real rough ride. The club's done so much to change the perception of it, and it's an outstanding club. And you know, I had really fond memories there with Mick McCarthy as the head coach or manager as they were then. So a brilliant club, and really grateful for them for giving me an opportunity to put me on the map and give me a chance to express myself.
Just speaking of your former manager Mick McCarthy, we've got him on the show for the Wolves game, which will be great. But what was he like as a manager and to play under?
Just phenomenal. First and foremost, an incredible person. You'll struggle to find a player because what players are really selfish, and when they're in the team, the manager's great, and when they're not in the team, he's not really for me and stuff like that. But you'll really struggle to find somebody that doesn't have something really positive to say about him. And it was a real father figure to me, and I don't mind saying this, that people would take the mick out, but you know, I used to babysit for him, and I'm really grateful to him for that, because he didn't get me to babysit for him to look after his kids. He brought me to his house to look after me, because I was away from Ireland, away from home. And he was like my dad, and a real top guy, and brilliant manager. You look at his career, over 1,000 games, you know, won the championship twice, took Little Ireland to the World Cup, and you know, knocked, back in the day when only one team went up, I think Spain might have got promoted, knocked Holland out in the playoff. Like, phenomenal career, longevity, which I think is the biggest compliment to anybody's success. So brilliant guy.
Fantastic, lovely words there. And then it was a move to Liverpool, and it's interesting, we speak about, you know, big price tags now and the pressure that brings, but if I'm right in saying, I think you were the most expensive teenager at the time in that move to Liverpool. I mean, what did that feel like? And it must be difficult, I guess, if you do feel that pressure, if you did, I guess.
No, I didn't feel any of that pressure, and didn't play to feel it, so that was one bonus. Stunning club, brilliant people. Footballers, Dickie, they're like ships in the night. You go away, you don't see people for 20 years, but some of my best friends are my friends from when I met there, who are, you know, not involved in football. I'm really proud of that. It was 3 years of my life I really enjoyed, but probably enjoyed it for the wrong reasons. And you know, I was a young boy enjoying life, good salary and stuff like that, and didn't quite have the support that players have now. But ultimately, everything I've ever done in my life, good or bad, is down to me. So that's on me, my responsibility. I'd like to think I'm a fairly bright person, but really look back at it fondly. Don't have any regrets. Just wish I'd have played a bit more football. But going back to what I said about, when James gets in the team, when you're not in a team like that, and Dickie, you were played at Arsenal in a ridiculous team and winning titles and stuff like that. When you're not in the team, it's hard to get in because they're winning every week and stuff like that. But brilliant. I'm a huge Liverpool fan as well, so that was a dream come true.
So and then Paul, you remember then, obviously you came to City under Joe Royle. Paul, do you remember that? And what was Mark like as a teammate?
No, he was brilliant.
Go easy on me. Look after me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, Joe, I think quite on purpose kept more or less the same squad that came up from the old Division 2.
Yep.
Because he knew it was a group of players that he could trust. I think we made a few. Danny Granville came in, didn't he?
Danny was. Yeah. Danny came in from Chelsea or Leeds.
Leeds. Was it
Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
But he didn't change the dynamic of the squad that much. But he knew that we had a team that would work hard and it would be very difficult to play against. And we needed a little bit of magic, a little bit of something different. And Mark brought that. He was just such an elegant footballer. Made it look effortless and just a wonderful left foot. And for me as a striker, he asked the goal as well. We just had to get in the box.
Yeah.
Because we knew if Mark got the ball, whether he'd half a yard or as soon as he got his head up to put it in, he was putting it in a plate for us.
Yeah.
Great lad. We had some really good times. Probably too good a time sometimes.
You got a little bit there. Is there's a little assist for you, Paul?
Yeah, I don't know what's,
Hello.
I don't know what's more impressive there.
Yeah.
Mark hitting it with his right foot, or me actually scoring a volley.
We pulled out both. Then we thought we'll keep catching you, Paul. Pull out that bad boy. Hello.
Quick story about that game. That was
I can't remember that.
Joe left out George Weah that day.
Oh really?
I'd been on the bench at the beginning of the season, and Joe left out George. And started me, and I scored, and George never played for the club again. Because I think he thought, if I can't get in ahead of him, I am quitting this game. I am done.
Now there was you talk about the wonder of a left foot, some wonderful assists, but also, do you have a favourite goal? I mean, we've got this one, which I think is a standout for most. This was against.
I remember this.
This was against Bolton, Mark. I mean, do you remember this?
Yeah, I do. I got very lucky, like you can see. Just nobody came to me, so it was quite lucky.
I think I'm claiming an assist because I took two defenders away. What a strike!
I remember it well. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good week for me. That we played. I actually had an international on the Tuesday.
Wow.
And scored a similar goal for Ireland, funnily enough, against Yugoslavia. It was probably the best footballing week of my life.
You've had, yeah.
The only good one I had in my life, by the way, so I'll take it. There weren't many.
Are there any other moments or games, not even necessarily at City, because Wolves, Palace, Cardiff, Ipswich, are there any other kind of standout memories for you throughout your time?
Yeah, my real standout memory, ironically, and I'm not saying it because of here, we had a very unique dressing room with just it's the best group of people I've ever worked with in terms of the players like Paul, but I keep saying this, it's really important to me. Not the player, the person is really, really important. It was just an incredible group of humble people who cared for each other first and foremost. The rapport and connection with the group, for me, was the reason the team was successful. Because I mean, there was amazing players like Dickie who had careers behind them and were names and that. But actually, there was a lot of people who weren't big stars and stuff. Apologies, I don't like talking about past.
No.
But it's just a great group of people and supported by a great group of staff.
The staff. It's one of the few times in my career that the players and the staff were all in it together.
Yeah.
And I think that showed back-to-back promotions, especially the promotion to Blackburn that day was unbelievable. When you see Mark go and celebrate with Joe Royle and all the staff jumping in, all the players jumping in together, and that was genuine. We all had so much respect for each other and really feelings for each other, and we all wanted everybody to do well. And it was just a fantastic group of not just footballers but people more than anything else.
Yeah, proper Manchester City family. It's great, I can say as well, when you get to see you together as well, that the love and the respect is still there, which is great. Finally thing I wanted to ask you, this is so interesting, I couldn't believe this. Do you know which player you played the most games with out of anyone in your career? You ready for this?
Is it a Wolves player?
Yeah.
I'm going to say... I was going to say Lee Naylor. I think you're going to say Jolie and Lescott.
I'm going to say Jolie and Lescott.
Yeah, I thought you were.
Lee was second, but
Oh,
it was Lescott 137 times.
Wow,
Played with
I didn't
Jolie.
know that.
But obviously that must have been That would have been Jolien as he was making his way up. And yeah, what was Jolien like there coming up?
He was phenomenal, and the biggest compliment I can pay him, like we'd win a game 3-0 and he'd get man of the match.
Really?
You know, for a centre half to get man of the match when you've won 3-0, but he'd also get it on merit. Like he would be the standout player. He was so strong, so quick. One of the best lads I've ever met.
Yeah.
And today, when you meet him today, bear in mind he's won FA Cup, £20 million move. He's won multiple league titles. He's the most down-to-earth guy you'll ever meet. He was a real... I was very lucky in my career. Every club I was at, there always seemed to be one really, really good talent. Like at Palace, there was Victor Moses, people who've, he's won the Champions League.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people say, oh yeah, we knew he was going to be a star, but when you seen Joel as a player, you knew he was going to have an amazing career. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
No, and do you know the other thing I've loved hearing about Jolien is that as you could never rile him up on the pitch. We've had players come and say he was one that you can try and get in his ear, or I think you've said it, you could just never.
I'll never forget, we played Wolves at the old Walker Stadium when I was at Leicester, and Jolien had just broke into the team and everybody was talking about him. The balls went into the corner flag and I'm sort of chasing him down, and I thought, young kid, I'm going to leave one on him here.
No.
And I absolutely leathered him. And I thought,
very unlike you, Dickov. I wouldn't have said that about you.
I'm going to get some sort of reaction, or the next time he gets the ball he's going to be, because that was part of my game. Nothing.
Wow.
He just got himself up and ran straight past me. Next time he done the same thing, and I thought, wow, you can tell at a very young age, playing against him, never mind playing with him.
Yeah.
That not
he
just
was
a
tough
good
as
player.
well.
Yeah.
He's so physically strong. It was untrue.
Yeah. Brilliant.
A real good player.
There we go.
Lovely guy as well.
It really is. Thank you so much, Mark. Well, listen, just to wrap up, we're going to do a little teammates quiz, okay? So, Paul, I'm going to give you that whiteboard there, and there's your marker pen, and Mark, same for you.
Okay,
so
thank you.
I'm going to be asking you some questions around your teammates from that infamous 99-2000 season, okay? First one, can you please write down who was the manager's pet? Some good ones here. I'm looking forward to this.
Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah. Okay, shall we have a little reveal? We've gone for. Go on.
I've gone for me as well, yeah.
Class. So, Mark, you did
I
say
was,
so.
yeah.
And so, little manager's pet over there, then was it Paul, yeah?
Did you know what? Joe was very clever. He used to change who his pet was every time to try and get the best out of somebody.
Nice.
But I would say more often than not it was him.
It was Mark, that's great. Okay, next up, worst trainer.
This is a difficult one,
Okay, here we go. Let's have a little look.
I'm going to be slightly controversial. There wasn't one.
Wasn't a standout worst trainer?
We didn't have. There normally is somebody who you go, oh, he was a good player, but he was bad. But I didn't really have one at all.
If you used to go for one, but
No, I put one person down. There's a reason for it, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus. But he's completely right. He is completely right. But I put Dunny.
He's thrown him under the bus.
Only because he would be unbelievable for us on a Tuesday and on a Saturday. But I think sometimes he just didn't like training.
Yeah.
I just think he knew what you were getting the game, and I think because of that, he just.
whether we wanted to turn up or not.
sometimes, yeah.
Richard Dunn there, class. Okay, in honour of the Masters this weekend, and that is shaping up to be a cracker, best golfer. I couldn't see Paul really conceded that there.
This could be the same answer as the first one.
Let's have a little look.
No.
Let's see.
I put Dickov
Mark's gone
because I
for
played golf
Dickov.
for him. He's very good.
And, well, would you look at that? You've gone for Mark as well. I'd love to jump on around with you.
You're welcome.
We lived fairly near to each other and kept bumping into each other. Mark was managing. We were saying we're going to get a game of golf arranged. And didn't happen for ages.
No, because he never texts me back. Never texts me back, did he?
And we played, first time we played the back nine at Mottram, and I've teed off, it was alright. My son Sam played alright, and he goes on and nails it 320 yards right down the middle. And I said to him, what do you play off? He went 2. And I went, Didn't tell me that before.
I've had a lot of practice.
I'm hearing as well.
Unbelievable golfer, honestly.
I'm also and Andy Morrison as well. Apparently now he's close to playing on scratch.
Sorry, apologies. I forgot. I played with Andy about 15 years ago. Very, very good.
Yeah.
And you won't be surprised to know he hits the ball a mile.
Of course he does.
Weaves is decent.
Really? Maybe, do you know what? I think there could be a little. We need to get like a little, a little tournament going possibly there.
Yeah, let's go.
Our own Masters.
Okay, yeah, but do you know Callum and Darryl? They just go and play together. Do you know what I mean? And don't invite anybody else now.
Yeah. We know it is. We'll start our own.
We'll sort it out.
We'll have a lovely 3-ball here.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. Best drinking partner.
Oh, how long have you got? That's not enough room. There's not enough room.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty to choose from. So,
I've Jeff.
We're nice.
Jeff, we had a lovely time. But there was quite a big group.
There was. Because if we went out 9 times out of 10, there would be a good 9 times, 9, 10, 11, 12 of us.
For about 4 days.
It was, God. Donny, Steve Howie.
Yeah.
Jeff, Mark.
Do you know what?
Danny Tiato.
Danny Tiato was quite a silent assassin. It was just unfortunate. Not unfortunate, everybody. It was just the culture.
Yeah.
It was the culture. It wasn't like it was just us and everybody was doing the same thing. The skill was not to get caught.
No, that was it. Gents, loved that. That was class. Right, now we're going to get score predictions. That's flown by. 8 minutes till kickoff. So let's just quickly head back pitch side because former Palace striker Kevin Phillips, Premier League legend as well there. Let's get his thoughts on the game.
Welcome back to pitch side, where I'm joined by a genuine scoring legend, Kevin Phillips, who scored, well, actually, how many goals did you score in the end?
If you ask a striker, they always know it was 285 goals.
285 goals.
Would have been nice to get to 300, but
absolutely.
I'll settle for that.
And I remember in particular you scoring a couple of goals here for Southampton. Do you remember that?
I remember it fondly. I haven't been back here many times since, so when I walked here today in the stadium and I seen the picture, they were both at that end, and I remember the first one, City had a corner, we broke, and I ran pretty much the whole length of the pitch and fired it past David James in that far corner, and then my second one was a header, so I think we managed to win that day 3-1. It's a long time ago, but really fond memories of that day for sure.
There's a friend of mine who's a Southampton fan. He was in the end, and I always remember he sent me a text and he put, "He's not bad, is he?" referring to you. So you've given a lot of Southampton fans a lot of pleasure, but also you gave Crystal Palace fans some pleasure as well. Tell us about your time there.
Yeah, no, I only had one season there, but it was a memorable one because I was fortunate enough to score the winning goal in the playoff final, which took them to the Premier League, and they've been there ever since. So I'm delighted to see that. I follow them. I always look out for their results. I don't get back there very often, but it's great to be invited here today by you guys to watch this game. And Palace are in good form away from home. They've been excellent. They've got some really, really good players. So I'm expecting a really exciting match here this afternoon. But yeah, I had a great time. They're good people, great fans, and they'll come here in their droves and get right behind their team today, that's for sure.
Tell us about that final. I mean,
there we go. So there was some thoughts of Kevin Phillips. Now the boys in blue are in the tunnel, so that means I'm going to hand over to your commentary team, which is Alistair Mann, who is with Clive. Before that, though, let's get some predictions from, I guess, Paul and Mark. Paul, I'll come to you first. What are you thinking today?
Tough game, tight game. I think City will win it 3-1.
3-1 from Paul.
Apologies, I'm 3-1 as well.
3-1, no, absolutely. Yeah. There we go. Gents, loved the show, and I hope you guys at home have as well. So now get on the Manchester City app for your commentary, and myself, Mark and Paul will be back at half-time and full-time. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's hope now these boys can go out there and secure an all-important 3 points as we take on Crystal Palace at the Etihad Stadium. Come on, City.
Thank you, Kel. Welcome to a gloriously sunny Etihad Stadium. It's the time of the season when, year in, year out, the Blues click into gear, gather the points they need, usually for the biggest prize of all. But this time, the points are essential to qualify for the UEFA